afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, Vice President Sara Duterte spends the night at the House of Representatives after visiting her detained Chief of Staff. Former Interior Secretary Benhur Abalos files his counter-affidavit to charges lodged against him by former President Rodrigo Duterte. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denounces the decision of the International Criminal Court to issue an arrest warrant against him. U.S. President Joe Biden also calling the ICC's move outrageous. And the Boston Celtics celebrates their record 18th NBA title at the White House. Thanks for joining us. Friday morning started with a surprise to House lawmakers and the media after Vice President Sara Duterte spent the night at the Batasang Pambansa. Joining us on the line is our correspondent Zandro Ochona. Zandro, tell us more about why the VP stayed at the lower house.
My Vice President Sara Duterte visited her detained Chief of Staff, Attorney Zuleika Lopez. To recall, Lopez was cited in contempt during Wednesday's hearing of the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability into the alleged misuse of confidential funds of the OVP and DepEd under Duterte's watch. House Secretary General Reginald Velasco said the Vice President arrived at 7:40 last night and was allowed to enter the Batasan complex even though it was beyond the visiting hours. The Vice President stayed at the detention facility until 10 p.m., after which she transferred to her brother, Congressman Paulo Duterte's office. Velasco said she is still in the premises up until now.
Yes. In fact, wala nang pasok sa Congress at Friday, no? But we alerted the PNP, Quezon City, no, and Batasan, just to be ready, no, in case there will be some disturbances outside of the premises of the House of Representatives.
The House Secretary General also said that their security personnel is in contact with the security personnel of the Vice President to know the plans of the VP. Lawmakers and the Speaker are yet to comment on the Vice President's stay at the House of Representatives. Mai.
So it really must have been a surprise to all the media, to all you guys over there, that she is still there at this very moment.
Yes, and we're still yet to get comment from the Vice President and if she plans to stay at the House until Monday, the day that the contempt order versus Zuleika Lopez will expire. And we are also yet to find out if her stay at the Batasan complex would also mean that she would attend Monday's hearing. But the challenge of the Speaker was indeed clear when Duterte should attend the inquiry and not pass the responsibility of explaining her side to her subordinates.
Yes, and yesterday, Speaker Martin Romualdez was saying that the Vice President should face the House probe. Any word on from VP Sara, from her camp, on plans regarding this?
Well, we were yet to receive comments from the Vice President. In fact, the surrounding premises of the Batasan complex is off limits even to the media as of speaking, and the media personnel who are within the area are only just outside the gates. So we're still yet to get the side of the Vice President.
All right, keep us posted. Thank you for that report, Zandro Ochona. Senator Risa Ontiveros pushes back against calls to increase the 2025 budget of the Office of the Vice President. Agatha Gregorio tells us more.
Several lawmakers have made it clear they want to augment the 733 million peso budget of the Office of the Vice President for 2025. But Senator Risa Ontiveros says there appears to be no reason to do so.
I think sapat na yung current level ng proposed budget ng OVP. Nakapag-operate na nga ang ibang mga OVPs in previous administrations sa ganyang level lang.
Vice President Sara Duterte earlier said approximately 200 OVP personnel would lose their jobs due to the massive budget cut of over 1 billion pesos.
Karamihan sa mga satellite offices, meron din dito dahil malaki din yung operations ng National Capital Region or Central Office that we call OVP dito sa NCR.
Ontiveros said she would need details to determine if this is a good enough reason to increase the budget.
Kasi kung naka-locate sila sa mga regional offices, baka naman pwedeng i-place or masecond sa regional offices, halimbawa ng mga department na hahawak ng earmarked funds ng OVP para sa mga particular na programa. Baka naman yung ibang mga staff dun sa regional offices ng OVP ay seconded na rin sa kanya. Malay natin mula sa regional offices ng mga national government agencies or mula sa mga LGUs.
The senator is also hoping to restore the budget for AFP modernization, which was slashed by 10 billion pesos. Ontiveros says this is to achieve a credible defense posture. Senators will discuss amendments to the proposed 2025 national budget amounting to over 6.3 trillion pesos. President Bongbong Marcos earlier wrote to the Senate President calling for the quick passage of the budget to ensure uninterrupted operations of critical government functions. Agatha Gregorio, BNC.
Former Interior Secretary Benhur Abalos has filed his counter-affidavit to charges lodged against him by former President Rodrigo Duterte. The charges stem from the PNP's operations at the Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound in Davao City to arrest religious leader Apollo Kibuloy. Hannah T monitored developments at the DOJ and she joins us now for the details. Hannah.
My former DILG Secretary Benhur Abalos firmly asserted against him are baseless as he filed his counter-affidavit at the Department of Justice today. The charges, including malicious mischief, filed by former President Rodrigo Duterte, stem from a police operation in Davao City earlier this year to serve arrest warrants against Kingdom of Jesus Christ leader Pastor Apollo Kibuloy. Kibuloy supporters, including Duterte, have called the operation an overkill and alleged excessive use of force and violations of the pastor's rights. In his counter-affidavit, Abalos stressed that the complaint is politically motivated and filed in bad faith to harass him and damage his reputation. He pointed out that the charges rely solely on his position as DILG Secretary during the operation.
Naman simple lang. Kung iaharas ka para gawin yung lawful na trabaho mo, just focus on your goal. Arrestuhin mo si Kibuloy. At up to now, I would really like to congratulate and thank the men and women in uniform of the Philippine National Police.
Abalos also questioned the existence and validity of Oplan Parokya, the alleged basis for the operation, which Duterte failed to substantiate. Mai?
Hannah, aside from malicious mischief, what other charges is Abalos facing?
My other charges include violation of domicile, grave misconduct, and grave abuse of authority. Abalos maintains that all of these are baseless and insists he did his job to ensure Kibuloy's arrest. Back to you, Mai.
Thanks for that report. Hannah T joining us from the DOJ. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denounces the decision of the International Criminal Court to issue an arrest warrant against him. He calls the move anti-Semitic. The ICC said Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant committed war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza, from starvation to murder. But Netanyahu is rejecting the court's decision.
The anti-Semitic decision of the International Court in The Hague is a modern Dreyfus trial, and it will end the same way. The truth is simple. No war is more just than the war that Israel has been waging in Gaza after Hamas attacked us unprovoked, launching the worst massacre against the Jewish people since the Holocaust.
The ICC also issued arrest warrants against Gallant and Hamas military chief Mohammed Deif. U.S. President Joe Biden calling the ICC's arrest warrant against Israeli officials outrageous. He's also making it clear the U.S. will stand with Israel against any threat to its security. The U.S. is now coordinating with Israel and their partners about their next steps.
We remain deeply concerned by the prosecutor's rush to seek arrest warrants and the troubling process errors that led to this decision. The United States has been clear that the ICC does not have jurisdiction over this matter. You've heard us say this before. Whatever this prosecutor might imply, there is no evidence, none, between Israel and Hamas.
More news after the break. Keep it here on Newsfeed at noon. Back on Newsfeed at noon, the Philippines recently bolstered its maritime claims with 2 new laws. In this report, our Foreign Affairs editor Jamela Alindogan takes us deeper into these measures and what they actually mean for a country facing territorial tensions with China.
The Philippines has drawn a definitive line in its waters in one of the world's most contested seas. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signed 2 landmark laws, the Philippine Maritime Zones Act and the Philippine Archipelagic Sea Lanes Act. This means that Philippine domestic laws now align with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea while carving out a clearer vision of territorial integrity.
We define closely what those boundaries are.
It cements 2 powerful terms into law, the West Philippine Sea and Talampas ng Pilipinas. These names are no longer symbolic slogans, they are now legal markers of the Philippines' sovereign claims. Legal experts see this as a pivotal moment, a safeguard against any future administration politicizing the nation's maritime rights.
We saw the extreme results of that flexibility with the Duterte administration. Him saying, no, we're only limited to 12 nautical miles and I'm allowing them to fish. With the law, it's now clear. What are our jurisdictions? What are rights in each specific maritime zone? What are the kinds of powers and authorities that can be exercised there? And what are the obligations, most importantly, of other states to us?
For decades, enforcement, military planning, and even diplomacy were hindered by contradictions in policy.
The problem was the lack of clarity and pending inconsistencies between Philippine law and international law when it came to the oceans, no? That allowed the executive ballet to have much more elbow room in implementing our legislation at sea. It also gave problems for enforcement, for example, military planning also, because they weren't sure whether they were required to enforce, for example, either the 12 nautical mile limit or the Treaty of Paris limits. And this was a long-standing and persisting problem talaga.
Confusion of whether to implement the 12 nautical mile or the Treaty of Paris boundaries created loopholes that adversaries and even Philippine politicians exploited. With this legislation, the Philippines now has a clear map of its rights and responsibilities, as well as the responsibilities of foreign states navigating the country's waters. But clarity at home may sometimes come at a cost abroad. Neighboring nations with competing territorial claims with the Philippines were quick to respond. China accused the Philippines of destabilizing the region, doubling down on its expansive claims by releasing coordinates for features it contests, including Sabina Shoal and Second Thomas Shoal, now listed under their Chinese names. For the Philippine government, China's opposition comes as no surprise.
It's not unexpected, but we have to define closely. Marami tayong sinasabi that we have to protect our sovereign rights and our sovereignty.
Malaysia too spoke out. Deputy Foreign Minister Mohamed Alamin announced plans to file a formal protest, arguing that the laws encroach on Malaysian sovereignty, particularly in Sabah. Though dormant for years, the Philippine claim to Sabah continues to cast a shadow over bilateral relations.
For Manila, the newly signed laws are more than just a legal maneuver. They are a strategic bid to solidify its footing amidst rising tensions in these disputed waters. But in a region where the fight for sovereignty is increasingly becoming more challenging, assertions like this one is expected to be met with pushback. Jamila Lindogan, Insight, BNC.
Before we go, U.S. President Joe Biden honors the Boston Celtics at the White House as the team celebrates its 18th NBA championship.
Well, welcome to the White House. I didn't know any of these guys behind me, but they just showed up. I don't know where the hell they came from. 2024 NBA champions, the Bulls. You're Celtics, right? The Boston Celtics. Not just any champion, but the winningest franchise in league history, and now with a record 18 titles.
Boston superstars Jason Tatum and Derek White presented Biden with a green Biden 46 Celtics jersey. As the president congratulated the players and coaches, he also shared a little fun fact about his Secret Service.
Let me just say, all of you may not know this, but my Secret Service name is Celtic, for real, because I'm Irish. Everybody behind me is Irish in their heart. I feel a special pride in this trophy. For this old Irish Celtic, to all you Celtics, congratulations. Congratulations to the team ownership, players, coaches, staff, and family members, along with die-hard fans.
And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Good afternoon and happy weekend.